The others, Projections of Our Shadows, by Ciro Discepolo. The female protagonist, Veronica Cartwright, in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, USA 1963, is bitten bloody on the forehead by a seagull during her trip to Bodega Bay. Thus begins the central section of the film, based on Daphne du Maurier's short story. The girl is rescued by the man who will become her lover, who asks her thoughtfully, "Maybe you should get a tetanus shot." She replies, "No need. I got one last month when I went to Europe." I find the episode truly hilarious and does nothing to hide the existence of a slight prejudice, almost a xenophobic attitude, among the American people, embraced by the English cinematographic genius, the fear of others, of those who are different. Today, a line like that would be immediately cut, if not by the director, then even by the Italian distributor, as politically incorrect. But in 1963, appearances were less important than today. This prompts a few brief reflections. I remember Bill Clinton's visit to Naples during the famous Neapolitan G7 summit. The news reported the advice of the President of the United States personal doctors: drink plenty of water, eat fruit and vegetables, avoid eaten fats. It sounded like the Foreign Ministry's official warning for Italian visitors to Angola. Here, too, evidently, we can read the same mistrust of others. I remember we were in the midst of splendid July days, which here in Italy, as has almost always been the case for the past few millennia, are marked by a pleasant climate, slightly breezy, not scorching, and not excessively humid. Any one of you can verify this and confirm that, unlike even northern cities in Italy and around the world, here in Campania in July we never reach high temperatures, and as I mentioned earlier, there is always a light breeze, which makes this climate among the best in the world. But then, during Bill Clinton's visit, was there an exceptional heat wave? Number. And of what? Of partial xenophobia. In fact, it wouldn't even be accurate to express it that way, because it wasn't about pure and simple racism, but rather fear of others, of those who are different. I too have been to the United States twice in different years in July, and there I felt stiflingly hot, perhaps excessively so, because I too was referring to a heat of others. Perhaps our beloved astrology helps us better understand this phenomenon, and also helps us look at the world with less fear. So, staying on topic and almost closing with a couplet, I'd like to remind you of that little narrative masterpiece, The Sentinel, by Arthur Charles Clarke, 1948. He was soaking wet and covered in mud, and he was hungry and cold, and he was 50,000 light years from home. A foreign sun cast a cold blue light, and the gravity, twice what he was used to, made every movement agonizingly laborious. But after tens of thousands of years, this corner of the war hadn't changed. It was convenient for the Air Force with their polished spaceships and their superweapons. But when push came to shove, it was still up to the ground soldier, the infantry, to take their position and hold it bloodily, inch by inch. Like this damn planet on a star he'd never even heard of until they'd landed there. And now it was sacred ground because the enemy had arrived there too. The enemy, the only other intelligent race in the galaxy, cruel, disgusting, repugnant monsters. First contact had occurred near the center of the galaxy, after the slow and difficult colonization of a few thousand planets, and it had been war right away. They'd started shooting without even attempting an agreement, a peaceful solution, and now, planet by planet, he had to fight tooth and nail. He was soaking wet and covered in mud, and he was hungry and cold, and the day was bruised and swept by a violent wind that hurt his eyes. But the enemies were trying to infiltrate, and every outpost was vital. He was on the alert, his rifle at the ready, 50,000 light years away from home, fighting on a foreign world, and wondering if he would ever make it home alive. And then he saw one of them crawling toward him. He took aim and fired. The enemy made that strange, chilling sound they all made, then stopped moving. The sound and the sight of the corpse made him shiver. Many over time had grown accustomed to it and no longer noticed. But not him. They were two disgusting creatures, with only 2 arms and 2 legs, that nauseating white skin, and no scales.